I heard it when the rest of the world heard it.
Wow. Okay.
I had no clue. And literally, and I knew because I'm standing in gorilla position and I heard the near. Pat Patterson and Briscoe telling me, go out.
You're like, I'm waiting for my
So,
music. Like that is. You're like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
all right.
that's it. Yeah, that's it.
You are listening to the Ropes and Riffs podcast with your host, John Kiernan.
Welcome to this episode of the Ropes and Riffs podcast. My name is John. I am a wrestling entrance theme song composer. And talking about wrestling entrance themes, one song you may remember if you're a lifelong wrestling fan is Tattoo, the one that Maven from Tough Enough used during his time in WWE. And that's actually, why would I bring that up? Because that's going to be today's guest. My guest today is none other than Maven, who you've probably seen for the last 20 years in the wrestling industry, but most recently, who's launched a really successful YouTube channel talking about everything wrestling and interviewing some of your favorites as well over the course of time. We talk about how music has played an impact in his life. We talk about how music has had an impact on his life. We talk about how and why he went into creating a YouTube channel and what his thoughts have been on his entrance theme, Tattoo, and what it might have been and what he might have wanted it to be. But I'm excited for you guys to be here with me today. You can find the Ropes and Riffs podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or any place that you pick up your podcast. If you head on over to any one of those and you leave us a 5-star review and rate the show, it would be greatly appreciated. And if you leave a comment, we'll go ahead and read them out here on the show. If you want to support the show, you can go to PayPal and make a PayPal donation, and any donation of $10 or more will also get you a shout out on the show. You can also follow us over on Instagram, TikTok, and over on Facebook and YouTube as well. So without any further ado, let's get into the conversation with the one and only Maven. The man, the myth, the legend is in the house with us today. And that's not me, ladies and gentlemen. That is this man sitting on the other side of this camera, the one and only Maven. Thank you for changing the world, and thank you for taking the time to hang out with us today.
I don't know if I've changed the world, but I'm definitely having some fun. So thank you for having me.
Totally. And the thing is, like, I say you're changing the world because I think that there's so many different, podcasts in this industry, and especially around wrestling, right? But you're somebody that if you think about all the different podcasts that are out there, right, in wrestling, I think that you've really done a great job at figuring out, okay, cool, what do people want and what is my unique perspective, with the entire career that you've had both in and out of wrestling, the honesty that you bring and just everything that you continue to bring to the table through your show. When you sat down to make your YouTube show and your YouTube channel, what went into those decisions of, okay, this is the kind of content I'm going to create to make myself a little bit different? Or was it just, this is what Maven does, baby, let's go?
Yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head. It was all about being different. If I would have sat down and done what a lot of other wrestlers do, I would just be a long list of another wrestler that has an average YouTube channel. But I luckily had a partner who knows YouTube, is successful already on YouTube prior to even working with me, and said, we're going to do things a little bit different. We're going to use what gifts God gave you, and we're going to make YouTube videos that just so happen to deal with wrestling. And that's the key. We make YouTube videos. They just happen to have a wrestling title and wrestling thumbnail, and the subject is all about wrestling. That's the difference.
And I think you nailed it with a couple of the first ones that I had seen, because I think some of the titles were things like, what does a WWE wrestler make? Or, you basically were just like, hey, I was someone that was there and I'm just going to shoot straight with you. And people feel that honesty. People know who you are. People know your story, or at least the parts that they've seen. And now they're seeing that behind the scenes of, oh, wow, these are all the things that Maven has gone through. These are all the things he's kind of like, he's pulling the wall back, but at the same time, I think it gives people a lot deeper respect and perspective on the wrestling industry, and that's awesome.
Yeah, it's I love it, and I don't know if it's a compliment or an insult when people tell me, or blame me for pulling the curtain back. We get a lot of the same comments one of the comments we always get is, something to this, to the uh, topic of, I wish wrestling was back like it was back when I was young and you guys weren't telling the secrets that you are. And that's fine. If you have that opinion, that's perfectly fine. But we live in the world now of information. This has changed the world more than anything. And just people just that they value and they desire and they search for information. And I truly believe people care more about what's going on backstage than what's going on in the ring sometime. So we're just, we're trying, man, not everything we does is successful. We learn just like every other content creator. And in some cases, we find stuff that works, we lean into. And in other cases, we find videos that don't work, stuff that I'm probably not the best to speak on. And we try to shy away from it.
Well, it was also interesting though because there's a topic that I think that a lot of wrestling fans get a lot of interest in outside of just, hey, what happened with Maven in his career, but you started talking to a lot of people in the industry and people that you've kind of run into over time, or people that it's like, hey, you should have this person on the show and talk about this topic. And I think you've had a lot of really heartfelt stories. You've had a lot of really honest conversations in a lot of ways that other podcasters and other people in the space haven't done before. And, that was even after all of the content of you saying, hey, here was my experience. So for you, when you were talking about, hey, let's bring on, like, for example, Saturn, and let's bring on these people, what was the conversation on, hey, let me go to these people and have these conversations where we're just talking raw?
The conversation was, I'm running out of shit to talk about. We we better figure out how to about face and figure something else. I'll be honest with you, the channel was probably a good bit more successful than I thought it would be. And once we got into going into year 2, it was, I mean, how many times can I explain what my backstage experience was like, So we had to change. We had to, if we wanted to continue, we had to add in and bring on other people. But that solved a problem. And the problem was, at the very beginning, I said, I will never speak to something I'm not capable, or I don't want to say, I just don't want to tell stories that aren't mine. Like, I don't want to, I might have been there for certain things, but if the story isn't mine to tell, I don't want to tell it. So the easiest workaround for that problem was, hell, let's bring people in. For instance, a couple weeks ago, we did a video with Mike Chioda. I know Mike. I traveled the roads with Mike. I hung out with Mike. And I had a good idea of what a lot of answers were to the questions I'd be asking him. But I was never a referee. Therefore, those stories aren't mine to tell. I could stand here, I could sit in front of the camera and tell, and the refs, how much they made this. But it was a lot more authentic coming from Mike Chioda. And so it was just basically a workaround. And we found success with it and the Perry Saturn bit video, the very first Perry Saturn video we did was an accident. I was at the hotel waiting to meet Perry. He was, if you're later than I am, you're late. And he was later than I am. And my cameraman was there, and he was just filming when Perry came in, just trying to get some B-roll. Turned out the very first video, that was all by accident. That wasn't even the video we went there to film. But again, that goes back to giving people what they want. They want a lot of times they want to feel like they're in that car ride with you. They want to feel like, that's why some videos we do in the car. I want people to feel like they're in the passenger seat and they just ask me a wrestling question. And wherever we're driving, I'm just answering. The Buff Bagwell video, reached out to us. I wouldn't have the balls to ask him, hey, I know you're getting your leg cut off. Can I film it? So I'm glad we've carved out this lane. I'm glad we've become a destination for fans to get the answers that they've always wanted. Yeah, well, there's a video that just went up, and I'm giving some promotion to Devon's channel. Video just went up a couple days on Devon's channel where the Dudley boys, I interview the Dudley boys. I mean, the fact that I'm now, and Devon asked me to do it, the fact that I'm able, at this advanced age to continue to evolve, continue to grow. Yeah, it's caught me by surprise. I'm not gonna lie. But hey, in life, I do know in life, adapt or die.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's also the thing too, is it's the way you're having these conversations. And like you said, something like Buff Bagwell having that conversation when he's about to go through this process, and you're just like,
Yeah.
all right, cool. He calls you, and then you're having all these conversations with all these different people. It's a very raw conversation. And, it's something that certain podcasters may be able to handle with delicacy and grace. And, some it may be a bit difficult to do. And I feel like you've been able to really do that and really bridge the gap between like, hey, this is a tough topic to talk about. And you know what? Let's have an honest conversation about it. And, let's just really bring out the best conversation that we can. And it really goes to the work that you've put in too. And I wonder in your head, the Maven that wins Tough Enough and shows up for the first time and drop kicks the Undertaker over the top rope, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you know, but the man did that. But how does that Maven look at the Maven in 2025 and say, did we make it? Do you look down and you're like, yes, my son, we totally did?
Living proof that there's not one direct route to get to an end destination. If you would have interviewed me on the night I won Tough Enough, and you would have said, what is success to you in the wrestling business? Obviously, this isn't it. But if you ask me, oh gosh, 24 years after winning Tough Enough, I'm happier now than I've probably ever been. I'm my own boss in essence. And I only stress once a week, and that's when the videos go out on Fridays for the first few hours. And other than that, I get to do fun stuff like this, or get to travel. I'm back to traveling and seeing more of the world. I'm back in touch with the Mike Chiodas, the Shelton Benjamins, the Perry Saturn. Hell, Perry and I, this channel allowed Perry and I to get a relationship, one that we did not have prior to the channel. I was on the phone with Perry for 30 minutes last week, helping him with his channel.
Wow, that's awesome.
That just blows my mind. Like, yeah, it's proven to me that I wouldn't have viewed this as success, but I wouldn't change it now for anything. Regrets probably the ugliest word in the human language, and it's tough. And to look back and think, oh man, I could be sitting, with a bunch of championships and, a bigger, legacy in wrestling, and I could have made a lot more money. But at that point, then am I motivated to do what I'm doing now? Probably not. Probably not. I remember when Undertaker started his channel, I was like, what the hell is he doing this for? Like, yeah. If I had his career and his money, you'd never see me again. So I'll never disregard my journey because I'm happy at where I'm at now.
I love that. But now I know you're talking about change, and I love everything that you set up to here. But there's one thing that I've heard that you've changed over time. And as we are in the entrance theme space on this show here, one of the things that I've heard over time that you would have changed was your entrance theme tattoo. Yeah. Although, let me just say it for the crowd, ladies and gentlemen, I loved that theme. Me watching you come to the ring with that, I loved that theme. And over time, I'd hear you in interviews like, man, I don't know, that theme, was it a great one or wasn't a thing for me? And I'm like, no,
I was in the minority.
Say that, it's so good.
No, I was in the minority. Still am. I still get a lot of people. And again, it's hard to explain to people. as a kid, when you're growing up and you're, forecasting what your career in wrestling might be, if you dare to dream, that's just not the song I came out to. That's it. But it is a good song. It just wasn't. I think it would have just been a better song for someone else.
Sure. And now, so in that way, then, two questions, and we can answer them in whichever way. If you were to have your entrance theme at that time, what would it have been? And if you were to have given your entrance theme to somebody, past or present, who would that person be that would adopt Tattoo?
If I've always thought that Tattoo probably would have been a good entrance theme for. Oh, I've never been asked that question. I know the entrance theme that I wanted at the time. It was either I something really rock, like Taker's. I mean, like Hunter's Motorhead. I always love that, or something hip hop related. Like when I started doing TNA and I could come out to what I wanted to, I came out to What You Know About That from T.I. So, honestly, as crazy as this is, the song was probably perfect for me with what I was coming in from, being the first ever Tough Enough contestant, and just, how it just starts off, and, I can see
Very
my
uplifting,
fantasy.
very rising. Yeah.
It was probably, perfect. God damn it. It probably was. I admit it. Yeah, I guess I'd give it to me if I had to.
Well, so let me ask you that too, because at that time, Jim is still writing. Jim Johnston is writing for WWE. And
Yeah.
nowadays, there's a little bit of a different dynamic, right? When I work with wrestlers, a lot of the time it's me working directly with the talent. Like someone would come to me and say, hey, I'm looking for this. And I work with them directly. It's not so like I do work for United Wrestling Network doing themes, but at the same time, even then, I'm working with Dave Marquez and then the wrestler, and we're putting together something, right? But a lot of wrestlers now are going through a library, or they're doing something like that, or they're having a theme kind of written for them with, hey, here's maybe one or two songs that would be a reference for it. Okay, great. But you hear stories down the line of Jim Johnston working with lots of different people and being like, hey, what do you want? What's the framing? With your theme, with Tattoo, how was that getting it to you? Was that something that was written with you, or was that something that was like, hey, Maven, here's your theme, and that's it? That's what you're doing.
I heard it when the rest of the world heard it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I had no clue, literally. And I knew because I'm standing in gorilla position, and I heard the near, and I got, Pat Patterson and Briscoe telling me, go out.
You're like, I'm waiting for my music.
So,
like that is. You're like, oh,
yeah,
all right.
that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Oh,
so,
man.
yeah, there was zero input.
Now, later on, was there maybe an invitation to be like, hey, let's adopt this or update it? Because like I said, I know that in TNA, you use, okay, so it was just, that's
Never.
it. That's what it is.
And when I started when I got to TNA and was doing the TNA house shows, in essence, it was, I could go up to them and I could go out to whatever I wanted. And that was my opportunity at that point to just try to get away and try to get something that was more, personality based, something that I felt on the way to the ring. But again, that's, we talked earlier about change, and in my advanced age, I have realized in this business, it's not about me. It's about the fans. And it don't matter what I like. It's what they like. I can assure you the videos we put out on Friday, I don't care to know the information that I'm telling. I'm doing it for the fans. So, and I'm fine with that. I'm perfectly fine with that. I actually love telling people information that they've either wondered about or questions they didn't even know they had.
And again, too, that speaks to that honesty, too. And I think that, when you're titling things like, what does a WWE wrestler get paid? And then you're actually breaking it down and going into this whole, like, this is what you're expensing. This is this. I think a lot of people are just like, hey, this is the life of a wrestler. And they just see the camera on, but they don't see that camera offside, right? They don't see the developing of the character. They don't see the road miles. They don't see the road wear, so it's like, again, the way that you've been able to frame that. And, you've also been in wrestling for so long that you've seen some great entrances, some great entrance themes come through the door. And like you said, you're talking about Team 3D, the Dudley Boys. You're, very, just again, you've been able to see all these different people. To you, what have been some of your favorite entrance themes of all time for some of the people that are some of your contemporaries?
That original DX music, I love that original DX music.
Yeah.
I always loved Gold Dust thing. I thought that was perfect for him. I like Gangrel's thing too. Again, it was another one that was perfect for him.
You named 3 right off the bat that were just perfect for the people they were for.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah. Good themes to me elicit a reaction. And if that's the criteria, I mean, you can't do better than Stone Cold's glass breaking. I mean, the moment that the crowd hears that just they go unglued. So
That's such a good one. And again, I think you
yeah,
can't have a conversation about entrance themes without Stone Cold. And, it's so interesting how it's evolved over time
yeah,
too, because, I spoke with Dijak recently on the show, and he was just like, it's interesting when you think about like your favorite themes, but he also goes, the talent has to sell it too. And Dijak has this real awesome theme now written by Mikey Ruckus from AEW. And it's one of these things where it's like, you see his presentation, you see he walks out like Sin City, he looks like this total badass, and he's just like, yeah, if you have an entrance theme and it works for you, that's great. But he's like, after you hit that entrance and you're out there, you got to make it work for you too. And it's such an
yeah,
interesting thing for me. Like, I'm always just like, what's going to make people think of what you do before you even get out of the curtain? But there's that other side of it. Like, how does it make you feel when you're going to the ring? It's such an important thing. Yeah.
yeah. That's what made Hunter's theme so great. But he was doing the long, elaborate entrances
Right.
way before anyone else. I mean, I got yelled at one time for taking, I think, 30 seconds to get to the ring. Now guys take several minutes to get to the ring. Well,
Right.
Hunter was doing that back then, but it fit his character. And people waited for it. They waited for him to do the thing, the look on the ring ropes, looking from side to side, spit the water. Same with Taker. Taker's themes, I still love the keep rolling, rolling, roll. I
Yeah.
mean, when you hear that and you see him come out on a motorcycle, it's peanut butter and jelly. It just goes together.
And it has longevity too, because you're seeing them even now, like a year removed from today, right? 2024, 2025, they're doing all their things, and you're just like, man, it still sticks. That's awesome. So,
Yeah.
yeah, you've seen so many over time, and it's just been such a cool thing to see where those have all come from. I would just want to touch on something here real quick. You said that music had a big role in your life, and for me, obviously, music is basically what I've dedicated my life to, and I love it. But what role has music played in your life?
Nostalgia. Like it's the one thing that whenever I need to go back and think of something from a memory from past, music will it'll give me a date, it'll give me a year. If I think of something bad or good, I can oftentimes think of what song I was either listening to or what song I was playing. Prime example. Back in 2017, it's good. This is such a weird example, but it's proof of what I'm saying. In 2017, I had to. I even bring in I even bring in an exhibit.
Here we go.
In 2017, I had to put down. There's a good, nice picture of Stevie Richards' crotch and my crotch.
There you go. In 2017, you had to bring in Stevie Richards' crotch.
In 2017, I had to put down a pug that we saved.
Oh,
And that's how I got this little guy right here. Because literally, we put him down, and my girl and I were heartbroken. And 2 days later, she's on the couch. I'm like, go get something else. Let's replace her. and that's how we got this, little guy, and he's been my boy ever since.
Oh
But
man.
I still remember, and this is proof that of what I'm saying. The song, as I took her to the place to put her down, the song that was playing was Toad the Wet Sprocket. Well, what is it? We spotted the ocean. I forget what that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just such a weird song that, like, um, that I never would have thought, but now anytime I think I hear that song, it takes me to that, and for whatever reason, it puts a good. It's it makes me remember that dog, if that makes any sense. Walk on
Course,
the
yeah.
Ocean. That's the
Walk
name
on
of the
the
song.
Ocean,
Walk
yeah.
on the Ocean. And it's like,
Yeah.
I'm not a Toad and the Wet Sprocket fan. I never have owned any of their music, but that song takes me back to that day. And it's just from nostalgia. And it could be good or in this case, sad, you know.
Yeah, but it's powerful too. And like you said, it's one of these things where maybe it's not from a band that you are ultimately listening to, but it's something that takes you back to that time. And it's something that
Yes.
in that moment, you're just like, I'm never going to forget that moment, the important memories that it comes to. Yeah. And it's just, I could name hundreds of songs like that. You could name hundreds of songs like that. And it's just, it shows the power of what music can do. And, as cheesy as it is, even though we do a show here about entrance themes, it's like, people think about that too. People think about, oh man, I was here when this happened, or
Yeah.
oh, my dad. You hear it all the time in these interviews and just with fans and whatnot. Hey, I was here with my dad when we did this, and like,
Exactly.
we saw this, and it's just you never know where. And I've said this to people before. You never know where the music's going to take you. I just had Jarrett from Bowling for Soup on, and he's just like, our song got played in space. What the hell is that? And he's
That's
just like,
crazy.
when you're sitting there in 2002 writing music and it's all punk music, you never think that. You never know where it's going to go. And just,
No.
it's music can be such
Yeah.
a powerful thing. I have a couple of things for you. And these are questions that I ask everybody who comes on the show. As again, we talk music, we talk wrestling. I do something on the show called Music City Rumble, where you are in the hot seat to book a men's singles match, a women's singles match, and a tag team match where the participants are musicians. So you get to pit 3 matches, musicians versus musicians in the squared circle.
Ah.
And then you get to say who would
Hmm.
win.
Oh my goodness. I mean, obviously, the obvious answer is Drake and Kendrick.
That's the best one. And I don't know if
Yeah.
that's the second time, but it's been on here before. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sure. That's
Who
obvious.
goes over in that one?
I think Kendrick takes it. I think, yeah. But if you look at longevity, my God, Drake's coming up on probably 20 years that he's been relevant in the music industry. So I'll go back to my childhood. I'll do Michael Jackson and Prince.
Well, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I don't know if
just
I can
because
even
those-
ask you in honesty who goes over in that one. That's a hard one.
Michael Jackson.
Okay.
Yeah, Michael's just before I knew I liked music, I liked Michael Jackson. I think that was the first album I ever bought. Michael Jackson Thriller.
It's awesome.
So
So we got Michael
yeah.
Jackson going over on Prince on that one. I love that.
Yeah.
And now you got
And-
a singles match for the ladies.
All right, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna go back to my roots and bring up somebody that I still remember my mom listening to growing up. And since she's been in the news recently, Dolly Parton
Okay.
and Crystal Gale.
Oh, all
I
right.
still okay. One of the songs that if I'm ever in a bad mood, I'll listen to. It's a guilty pleasure. Is Crystal Gale's "Don't That Make My Brown Eyes Blue." I still remember my mom listening to that when I was growing up, and if I ever need to just put a smile on my face, that song will do it. So Crystal Gale, so Crystal Gale gets the victory.
Going over, absolutely. And I
Yeah,
never
she gets
thought
the
that on
victory.
Ropes and Riffs we'd have a conversation about Crystal Gale, but here we are.
I grew up country. I know I don't look it, but I grew up country.
I love that. I didn't get into country till I was older. And then, like, for me, because I do a lot of guitar playing and that's my primary
Mhm.
instrument, all of a sudden I get my Brad Paisleys going and I'm like, dang, dude, these guys are monsters. But then again, like, you see these guys who are just great players and then they're writing this beautiful love song stuff. And then you're just like, man, there's some great players out there. Dang.
George Strait, if I had to pick three musicians to listen to, if you, let's say I was on the desert island and I could listen to three people for the rest of my life, George Strait would be on that list.
I
I
like that.
love George Strait. Yeah.
So good. And actually hold the three pieces of music, because that may be coming next. But then you got the tag team that you got to book too.
Tag team. Huh. Let's
And that could be
do,
groups going on groups.
yeah, it's going to be Metallica. Do they have to have a tag partner?
No, it could be Metallica versus somebody else.
Versus Alice in Chains.
Ooh, all right.
Oh my gosh. Alice in Chains is probably because and that was my graduation of high school. And we all come of age when we graduate high school. And I can still remember listening to on road trips, listening to wearing out those Alice in Chains CDs. So yeah, unfortunately, Alice in Chains takes it for me. Yeah, I
But see,
love
I can
Alice in
go with
Chains.
that. I can go with that too, because again, I think Metallica is like the entry, and then everything else is a stack upon, right? You're like, okay, cool. I get into Metallica. You know they're goats. You know they're great. But then all of a sudden, it's
Yes.
like, what's the one that changes you? And for you, that's Alice in Chains.
And they have probably, and you'll get no argument from me. Metallica is the greatest of all time. They are Mount Rushmore. But for my enjoyment, like to me, Lane Staley was probably the most talented rock singer of all time. Like his voice is like none ever for me.
Love that. Yeah, no, and I
Yeah.
agree with that. And the last question I got for you that relates to all that, if you had to make a Spotify playlist or if you had to make a music playlist that had 3 songs that define Maven, what would those 3 songs be?
Ooh. Hmm. Oh, wow. That's yeah. How about that? I don't. Can I give you just the artists
Absolutely.
instead of the song? All right, George
Sure.
Strait's on there, and
Yep.
then George Strait's his catalog. Tupac is on there because there's my hip hop again. My whole college was nothing but listening to Tupac, and gosh, I would say Alice in Chains because I've already given that. But let me give you a different one. Huh. Just because I grew up with it, Alabama. I know I don't look it, but man, I love country music. I love it. I love it.
That's all
So
right though.
there you
Country
have it.
music good. And you know what
There you
too?
have it.
Like in Jersey, you'd be surprised. There's a decent country scene up here too. I think it's because of like your Mawas and things like that. There's a
Yeah.
country scene here.
Yeah. It's funny because my girl, she's an 80s rocker. I mean, she's been to more Kiss concerts and we just lost an icon last week. But that it's crazy because like anytime that there'll be somebody on television, and I'll be like, oh, what band are they in? She knows them immediately. But that's, music played such a just pivotal role in her life. So I think music does that for most people. I think it comforts us when we need it. It saddens us when, when when we need it, and it can motivate us as well. How many people in the gym do you see, getting their music ready before a set? So,
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. And there's that joke too. It's like, hey, if I don't have my headphones, I'm just leaving. Forget it.
I
If I don't have
have.
my headphones, go to the gym. Forget this.
I have been in the gym and had my headphone battery died, and I've left. And I've been like, yeah, this isn't happening. This ain't gonna work.
I love that. Well, Maven, thank you so much for making the time. You are such a
my
busy
pleasure,
person.
Joe.
You're doing so much, and everything that you've been doing on YouTube, everything you've been doing in wrestling. You're back in 2025, and thank you for taking time to chat with us. Thank you.
It was my pleasure. A lot of fun. Thank you so much.